In our top story at this hour, after the Congress delegation made a representation to the Election Commission on the attack on a Congress rally on the 18th of January in Tripura, the Election Commission has now taken strong action against district officers, suspending 3 of them for lack of appropriate action to prevent violence. Mirror Now had reported extensively on this attack on the Congress rally in Mazlishpur constituency on the 18th of Jan, right after the announcement of the poll dates. Congress state in charge Dr. Ajay Kumar came under a severe attack by a group of goons, which Congress claimed was a targeted attack launched on their leaders by goons at the behest of the BJP, where former IPS officer Ajay Kumar and 16 other Congress leaders was brutally beaten up. Taking a strong note of the incident, the Election Commission has asked for an explanation from the state DGP and Chief Secretary on why the situation escalated. It asked for an assessment of the threat perception to political leaders and directed that security be provided as per the assessment to ensure a level playing field for all political parties. Just to remind our viewers of the sequence of events, poll dates for Tripura along with Meghalaya and Nagaland were announced on the 18th of Jan. On the very same day, a Congress bike rally was taking place in the Sadar subdivision, Mazlishpur constituency of the state. This rally came under attack allegedly by BJP-backed goons. AIPC General Secretary Ajay Kumar, among the others, 15 others injured in this attack. On the 19th of January, Congress asks the EC to take action in the matter. The same day, we reported this incident, highlighting the pre-poll violence and, of course, bringing to you exclusive interview of Ajay Kumar as well, which we will play out in this program as well. Now, on the 20th of Jan, that's today, you have the EC taking strong view on the matter. The EC has ordered suspension of senior police officials. The poll panel has appointed 3 special observers. In fact, to tell us more about how the EC has taken action in this matter after our coverage, let me go across to Madhav joining me with more on this. Madhav, good evening. A very detailed report that you sent us on the EC action. Over to you to give us the details on the kind of directives that the Election Commission has sent to the state government in Tripura.
Well, absolutely. A lot that the Election Commission has done. They've, in fact, appointed special observers in the state. In fact, 1 IS, 1 IPS and 1 IRS officer, senior officers at that, who have long experience of handling polls as observers, have also been appointed to look into really the arrangements that have been made, not only as far as security, but also as far as all other aspects of what these observers look at, including revenue and expenditure. At the same time, they've also, in fact, alerted the top brass of the state administration, the DGP and the Chief Secretary, and they have in fact been asked to look into and provide reports into this entire incident. In fact, I'm just going to read out some sentences from what we understand is a note that has come in from the Election Commission that we've accessed is concerned, and it says that the Election Commission has conveyed its displeasure to the Chief Secretary and the Director General of Police Tripura in no uncertain and strongest terms. During the meeting, the Chief Secretary and Director General were asked to explain as to why the situation got escalated despite sufficient number of CAPF personnel posts deployed in the state, and stringent action be taken against the following officers for not taking appropriate action in time. This includes the suspension and immediate removal of the SDPO Jirania Subdivision West Tripura, immediate removal of the officer in charge of Rani Bazar Police Station, and immediate removal of the officer in charge of Jirania Police Station. The Chief Secretary and DGP were also asked to immediately assess the threat perception of the leaders of the various political parties in the state and also provide security as per the threat perception without further delay. They've also been asked to ensure that there's a level playing field for all political parties and to initiate strict action against partisan officers. They've also told the CEO or the Chief Electoral Officer of Tripura to, in fact, reiterate to the district election officers to facilitate the permission to political parties on first-come, first-served basis and popularize the Suvidha app for disposing of applications of political parties for meetings, rallies, roadshows, etc. I've told you about the officers who've been, in fact, assigned over there as observers, as special observers. But lastly, what's very important is that the rally has been termed as unlawful because it happened in the area where permission was not given by district authorities, and it is not true that Dr. Ajay Kumar received serious injuries. However, the state government has confirmed that Dr. Ajay Kumar has sustained minor injuries in this particular rally that took place. So a lot that the Election Commission has done. Certainly there has to be a level playing field. It cannot be the case that only one political party is allowed to campaign and there are incidents of law and order or violence that take place during the course of the campaign, that's something that Election Commission has sent out a very clear message to the state administration that it's not an acceptable state of affairs and they have to ensure that all parties do enjoy a level playing field in these elections. Back to you, Afrida.
Please stay on with us through this discussion because we will try and get the Congress spokesperson from Tripura, who's in charge of the AIPC East, Szarita Laitphlang, will join us shortly. But I want to ask you another question, Madhav, that here is a case of one political party being targeted, accusing the ruling party, of course, being behind this act. Now, this is not the first time that such a thing has happened. The election in 2 other states of Northeast. In your understanding, doesn't the Election Commission now have a huge responsibility, especially after this incident, to ensure that there is free and fair polls in all 3 states?
Well, absolutely. And as I mentioned there, the level playing field, the Election Commissioner specifically pulled up the DGP and the Chief Secretary. That's something that we don't see happen every day. During the course of the election, remember that the Election Commission also will have will have the authority if they feel that things are not happening as per their instructions that have been issued now, to further perhaps take action, perhaps even suspend or transfer, not suspend, but particularly transfer officers who may in fact not be discharging their duties as per the Model Code of Conduct, as per their requirements that are there when any election takes place. If there is any complaint of partisanship or of any officer acting in a biased manner, they can then go ahead and take that particular action. Also, of course, remember that police complaints would be filed. There could be investigations in matters of law and order and violence that would routinely be, in any case, be conducted by the police. But in this particular case, if political parties also rake this up specifically with the Election Commission, then they can give also directions for certain kinds of cases to be filed or appropriate action in any case to be taken. So all of these are very much within the ambit of possibility. You're absolutely right to the extent that it is the Election Commission's duty to ensure that there is a level playing field, and that level playing field aspect includes violence, it includes means of unfair methods such as use of money, liquor or any kind of narcotics, etc., that may be used by political parties to carry out such acts.
Yes, Madhav, thanks for giving us that understanding, but stay on with us. Szarita Laitphlang is with us on the phone line. Szarita ji, at this point, we are of course happy that the Election Commission has intervened. We reported on this story. We brought your voice as well as Mr. Ajay Kumar's response after that horrific incident. But the Election Commission also says that this area, there was no permission granted. However, that does not absolve the perpetrators. But I want your reaction to what you just heard from my colleague Madhav about the Election Commission's action taken. Are you satisfied with it?
At the very outset, I'd like to thank Mirror Now for highlighting this issue, because I thought it took forever for national media to actually take up what was happening in the far northeast. As one of the most violent states when it comes to political violence.
And of course, thank you to the Election Commission of India also for taking such prompt action. But you see, the suspension of these 3 officials, it clearly states, it clearly exposes that they were hand in gloves with the conniving miscreants who were there. If you would have seen the scene there the day before, it was very much out of control. At every 500 meters, we had people attacking us with rods, with bricks, with sickles, and with swords. And the situation was absolutely out of hand. So I am grateful to, the Congress party is grateful to the Election Commission for taking such prompt action. And I hope that in the coming days, there will be, much more prompt action from their side. Now, the Bharatiya Gunda party basically thinks that, they can go on with these unlawful activities when it comes to creating a fear psychosis amongst the people. Here, the people are very scared to even come out of their houses, even when it comes to the voting day. So we've seen that during the by-election, where many of the people were not even allowed to come out and vote. The situation on ground is very grave. And again, thank you to Mirror Now for highlighting the issue. Now, there are a few questions which I had. The state government, I want to ask the state government, what is their definition of a serious injury? They said that Dr. Ajoy, the AICC in charge of Tripura, did not have any grave injuries. Would it take for a person to be dead? Would that be considered a grave injury? I want to ask the state government. Because Dr. Ajoy's face has been fractured, he's got multiple blood clots all over his body. He's got beaten rod marks on his back, on his legs. So I want to ask the state government, what is their definition of a serious injury? That is the first question that I want to ask.
Right. No, I take your point, and you have your valid concerns. I want to take that question to Madhav as well. Madhav, there's only one or maybe 2 points where the Election Commission actually has sided with the state government. One, that indeed permission was not granted for this area. And second, that as per the Congress representation, there were grievous injuries, which as per the report which you have sent us says that is not true. There were minor injuries. But is that consequential? I mean, now that you have a clear directive going out, heads have rolled, we have reported on it. Now, of course, the nature of injuries is not something that perhaps would be consequential to the overall case. Nevertheless, what is your take on what Szarita is just sharing with us?
Yes, in fact, Szarita, there are a couple of important points that, the Election Commission has made. Now, whether the injuries were serious, whether they were minor is an entirely different issue. I don't want to get into that debate, but it does become problematic when political parties don't apply for permissions and then carry out rallies in particularly elections. If state administration is anyway posing any hurdles, then that is an entirely different issue. But in this particular case, the Election Commission, in its note, has stated that this entire rally itself was not legal in terms of the location where this incident happened. So perhaps at some level or the other, while the state machinery and the chief secretary and the DGP have certainly been pulled up in this entire matter, and perhaps certainly rightly so, they've been asked to look into threat perception and provide security to all candidates cutting across party lines. The fact is also that the Congress perhaps could have been a little more cautious, particularly in this one instance of where that rally was carried out. So isn't it factually correct, the Election Commission factually correct when it says that there was no permission for a rally to be carried out at that particular location?
Quick response, Szarita.
Come in here, Madhav.
Yes,
can I come in here?
Yes,
Szarita.
go ahead.
Yeah, I want to make one thing very clear. The bike rally was supposed to be in the Sadar district. Majlishpur comes under the Sadar district. We did have permission. And to those who call this rally an unlawful rally, that is the exact word that they used, is a blatant lie, because we have the copy of the permission. So we did have permission. Without permission, we would have never done a bike rally.
Okay,
This
we
is
leave
a
it at that.
blatant lie.
Right, we leave it at that because the Election Commission,
right,
in its wisdom, has made its statement. Madhav is bringing us all the details, of course, and the perspectives on this issue. Thank you very much, Madhav, for joining us from the Delhi studio. Thanks, Szarita, Laitphlang, for joining us again today on the subject.
Thank you.
Well, with that, let's